Simple question for the day. What is bad about meritocracy? It's a dirty word, isn't it, in some circles, especially on the left. The idea that some people know stuff. Some people are better than other people. Some people are smarter. Some people are better educated, better trained than others. Or are we all the same? Is that what equality or equity really means? Of course not. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network. Why do I ask this? Well, because of a little news story that got me thinking. There are two politicians on the left, both Democrats, of course. One of them is Mazie Hirono, the senator from Hawaii who thinks it would be a good idea to have trains going to Hawaii. Or buses, even better. Because air travel, that's just evil. Then Tammy Duckworth as well, together made a statement. Was it less than 24 hours ago? I do believe it was. Well, they sent a message to their president, sleepy, creepy Beijing Biden, whereby they said they're going to block, they're not going to vote for any more of his cabinet nominees unless they're of a certain ethnic group. The abbreviation Senator Tammy Duckworth used is AAPI. Since when did we use that? Since when is Asian American Pacific Islander a common usage as an acronym? Now here's my question to you. All Americans should be equal in front of the law, but that's it. I haven't done one of those genetic tests because you do know they're actually Chinese. Don't do one of those heritage things because your data goes to data banks that can be accessed by the Chinese Communist government. But I know from family history and, of course, the history of my life that I am a peculiar mixture. Hungarian, Polish, bit of Lithuanian, born in the UK, and somewhere along the line on my mother's side, bit of German, Turkish, you name it. I mean, just the classic Central Eastern European mutt, if you will. Although the 6'3" and rather lobster-like appearance I get if I try to sunbathe does mean that it's more Lithuanian than anything else. So as such, let's just boil it down to British, Hungarian, Polish, Lithuanian. Should I demand, as an American now, that I be represented in government? Must I demand that Polish, Hungarian, Lithuanian Brits be represented in the correct proportion in the federal government or anywhere if we look at the corporate world? How about this question? If you got on a plane, I don't know if any of you have flown under the COVID conditions. If you got onto an ocean liner, would you demand that the requisite portion of the crew represent your ethnicity? How about this one? I don't like general anesthetic. I've had a handful of procedures done to me over the years. I've been very blessed. And I just don't like being asleep for them. It's kind of a natural thing, I hope. But the last thing I think of is they're putting that thing over my mouth with the funny sleepy gas. Is, you know what? That surgeon better be British, American, Lithuanian, Polish. Otherwise, I'm not having this surgery. What did you say? Lunacy? Utter complete craziness? I concur. So why is it okay when it comes to the running of your country? It's not. Now, fascinatingly, the two senators allegedly in the last few hours have furiously backpedaled their demands to President Biden. One of them has said, I had very good discussions with the White House. Ooh, wouldn't you love to know what they were offered in return for standing down from their boycotts of any more nominees who didn't have the right skin color, who weren't of the correct ethnic heritage. What did they get in return? Oh, you know they got something. But this is where we have arrived at. The antithesis. The utter diametric opposition. The jettisoning of everything that Martin Luther King, Reverend King, taught us. And it's not just there. Look at the hypocrisy of the last few days when it comes to the Boulder, Colorado shooting. Prior to that, the massage parlor killings, without any evidence, none, not a scintilla, not an iota of evidence that the shooter was a racist. Which is weird because if he were, why would he have frequented those facilities? If he were. It must be a white supremacist, racially motivated attack. It must be the ideology of the perpetrator that defined it, despite the fact that we have no evidence for the ideology. But because the victims were of a certain skin color, it is okay to use them whilst dead as pawns. What kind of despicable person uses the recently murdered as political pawns? Whilst in Boulder, Colorado, an individual who they were so excited on the initial photographs and original footage looked pasty white. Well, we hear today, statements from the fake news industrial complex. There are no indications of motivation or any hint that this is a hate crime. I think killing 10 people is a hate crime, don't you? I think it is. I think murder is a hate crime. So why in one case and not the other, separated by a couple of days? I tell you why. Because he's Muslim. Because his name isn't Ahmad Alyssa with a Y, as the initial reports told you. His name is Ahmad Ali Aliwi Al-Issa. Huh. Not Fred Smith of the local militia. So in this case, no idea. What ideology? Killing infidels? No. He's going to be somebody who was... Did you hear this? He was bullied in high school. Well, in that case, if he's Arabic, if he's a Muslim, if he's a refugee and was bullied in high school, it's not a hate crime. Is it understandable? Is the left going to make excuses for this killer? Oh, and a last observation. We'll discuss this tomorrow in our Second Amendment hour. Did you know Colorado has universal background checks? Did you know Colorado has red flag laws? And this man's relatives knew he was crazy. Oh, and the last one. Colorado has a ban on quote-unquote assault weapons. So how did this happen? Red flag laws, assault weapons bans, universal background checks, and 10 people dead? Why? Because the left is lying to you. Still today. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First.